Westwood. What's up?
How you doing? Hey, how's it going today?
It's a great day.
Okay.
Johnny's down the shore with his family.
Down the shore.
Down the shore. Down the shore.
So Westwood's up in the bar.
And Westwood's up in the bar.
Yeah. You're going to make a dishonest man of me. I only drink on Fridays, but Tuesday I had to have a couple beers, and now I'm going to have a little tequila. Yeah, you know.
Wow, there you go. I might go snag a drink in between.
Yeah, you know, get you some.
Yeah, I planted a mandevilla today.
A what?
Mandevilla.
What is that, a plant? Obviously.
Yeah. And I found these little mushrooms growing.
I saw the picture, yeah.
And I was like, what kind of mushrooms are those? Do I destroy them or dry them?
Lick them and see what happens. Just have the dogs do it. They like to test the kind of stuff. Just have them lick the mushroom and see what happens.
I can really mess a dog up for a while. You got to be careful.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So there was a Bizarro Land story that came out on Newsmax today.
All right.
About a woman in Texas who had a rattlesnake fell from the sky and was wrapped around her arm. And the hawk or eagle that was chasing it came down and attacked this woman, and she's all beat up and banged up and whatever. And this is like a story on Newsmax. You guys can go look it up.
What the heck?
But what the heck? And then on Gab, right before we get started, I see this beautiful eagle flying.
The eagle will fly
over the flag, and they're singing "The Land of the Free and the Home of the Brave." And I think we have some really brave, amazing patriots that show up on our channel. And there's some interesting stuff happening, whether it's Dr. Jan Halpern. We talked about and highlighted her video on Friday with her at the BBC or BB. Is that right? BBC.
Yeah, the BBC, British Broadcasting Company or corporation, maybe. Everything's a corporation.
Everything's a corporation. Yeah.
Even you.
Even you, if you only knew. But then I probably shouldn't go off on this tangent.
Do it.
I'm going to do it anyway. So I have fostered and adopted lots of kids. And I was thinking about this the other day when they talk about these trusts that are written and that they have bought and sold our names so many times. And there are these funds there and whatever. So when Mia was a baby, her formula was super expensive because we had to have really high calorie count formula because she was in heart failure, blah, blah, blah. So I would go to the welfare office, which I don't know why they make the foster parents do this kind of stuff. But anyway, I have to go to the welfare office and sit every month to wait to get the coupon to be able to buy her medical special formula. And I could only get it at one grocery store. It was a big nightmare. It was just such a pain in the butt. But anyway, but she was completely worth it.
Yeah.
But there was this fund called her SSI fund.
Yeah.
Through Social Security. Well, she had never paid in.
No. It's, what is it? Supplemental something. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, and then when Cannon had his stroke, so when he was like 6 months old, he had a second open heart surgery. He had a massive stroke and coded for over 4 minutes. So he has brain damage and a seizure disorder and some other things. So we had a lot of challenges. He didn't walk till he was like 2.5 or something. Anyway, so we had this little thing called a gator that we had to order for him. It was super expensive. He was still in foster care. When we were going through all this therapy and his tube feedings and all this. And so a lot of his medical and anything that was above, like outside of like our normal, like we buy clothes and take care of him and, normal day-to-day diapers and whatever. But anything above and beyond, we could ask for. We got a therapist as he got older. She wrote a thing to submit to his SSI for an iPad because it was part of his therapy.
Okay.
And I thought about this when we're talking about these trusts and if there are these accounts,
Mhm.
and in the world of State National, if you do research and start looking into some of that stuff, it's about you coming into standing of being an adult, and you have to be able to be responsible or show that you are a good steward of these resources. Some of the people that are in that world tell you, like, to make I can't remember if it's a 500-year plan or a 1,000-year plan or something like that. Like, what would you do? Like, if you had all the money in the world given to you, or at your, how would you say that should be distributed to you in a healthy way? And then what would you do for the world benevolently, in a healthy way that would not cause harm? Because we see, like, look at poor little Hunter Biden. I mean, he is a crack addict because he
He
has been
can't,
taking millions
can't,
of dollars from China.
right. And you're going to have that. You'll have
Right.
people that do that because, oh, I have an unlimited funds. I just won the 1.5 billion.
Right.
I'm just going to do whatever I want.
Right. So we know that it can be harmful
Sure.
to people to have too much money, or that aren't good stewards of that or responsible for that. But I could see, as you kind of start learning about these different worlds, and I'm still learning or on the fence. I'm not really sure about some of it. And it is an individual's journey. Everybody has to do their own research. Everybody has to make choices for themselves of what that looks like for you, because a path for me will look different than for Westwood, will look different for Johnny, who's down the shore with his family.
My path goes about 200 feet in all directions.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more over this way and that way, but that way and that way.
Yeah. I don't know. It made it very real to me. It made it a more real possibility when I was like, oh, I've been
It's all
dealing with that
created.
system for a long time. I just didn't know it.
Yeah, it's you think about it, okay, so you're born and you get this name and it's all capital letters, and so immediately you're like a corporation, or that is a corporation. But so you can either break from it and say, I'm a human controlling this corporation that has this, whatever funds are allocated to it, whatever it's worth, because think of it as a ship. You got this ship and it can travel all over the place, do this, deliver goods, make money, all these things, this vessel that is your name, and it can travel all over the world. Now you can align yourself, like we have done unknowingly, with that vessel, become that vessel, and so we're responsible for everything, and oh my gosh. Or you can step back and say, no, I'm actually the trustee of this vessel, or I control this corporation. And so it's interacting as a corporate, because a corporation can file bankruptcy, and nobody's affected. They walk away with millions of dollars, they made money, the people running it. So it's kind of like its own entity that exists out there on its own. And if you think, you got all these unlimited funds, we're always complaining about trillions of dollars getting created. So what is money at that point? Are we born with $1 billion and don't know it, or $1 million or $10 million? Who knows? Because they may be, you go to get a loan, and they may be, because a lot of people will say this, you go and get a loan for a car, for instance, and buy this car. Well, you're taking on, a lot of people will say, and I don't know how true this is, that, whether it's a car, a credit card, all these things, it's basically you're pledging money out of your trust, your name, to pay that bill. Okay. So it's paid in full.
That's what I've heard. I've heard the minute you take the loan out, right, it's already paid.
Right. But then you just send in payments, because you're like, okay, and they're not going to turn down payments, are they? They're going to say, oh yeah, go ahead and send them in. We're already made whole on this because, we've got access to, your trust, and made it whole. I don't know how all that works, but that's the theory. And then you're paying for it for nothing. You already paid for it because you were born, and they're just basically allocating the funds out of the account. It's all paper distribution, here in digital at this point. But you're sending in your energy. When do you really need to? And so that's really the question. If you separate yourself and divorce yourself from it, and that thing can interact in this corporate world, whereas you're not, but you're controlling that and gaining assets of it. And then is there a limit at some point? Are you born with $10 million and once it's exhausted, that's it? I don't know.
And things can be a burden.
Yeah. Money can be a tremendous burden. And all this stuff, and, again, you know, if you're that one person holding that $1.5 billion ticket in Florida right now, what are you thinking? I mean, you're stressed out. You're thinking, oh crap. Okay, what do I need to do to handle this kind of money? And guess what? If you take the lump sum, it's like 750 million, so you get half of it. Well, then you got to pay taxes on it, so you get under 500 million. So basically, somebody got that billion. Who the heck got the $1 billion?
Yeah, then where did that go?
Where'd the billion go? Because it's $1 billion that just disappears into the government rat hole or some off. Isn't that crazy though? I mean, and what work did they do? They paid somebody to pull the numbers out in a swimsuit, you know, and okay, so there's an administrative overhead, whatever. It can't be that bad. And it's not worth $1 billion, but somebody gets $1 billion out of this between the government and the state.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you what the odds are, though. It took 4 months and everybody playing all those numbers, the combination of numbers. And finally, that one set of numbers showed up after 4 months. All those millions of tickets. That shows you the odds are just like ridiculously not in your favor. And then when you do win, the government wins times 2. I mean, you get a third and they get 2/3. It's like unreal. So, yeah, a little tangent there, but man.
I know I took us off on a tangent, but it just
was all right.
A moment where I was like, wait a minute, I have operated in that system, or I have had a real
because you're right. SSI doesn't, I mean, you don't pay into that because, you know, right now, I mean, you can go watch documentaries. There's one guy that goes around the country and he has some specific ones where he's live. I shouldn't say he's live. He records people, you know, in like Eastern Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and it's decimated through drugs. And you'll talk to some young people. He's talked to young people working at Pizza Hut, and the gal, you know, she's like 23, and she's like, oh, no, I've worked here. I put myself through school. I don't take any of that money, but I've got friends. 50% of my friends, they don't work at my age. Well, why? Well, you know, one has anxiety, one has this, one has that, and they're on SSI. See, they never really paid into it, but they're getting money, and what do? They just support their drug habit, and they live at home with their parents or living in, you know, whatever. And it's just, I mean, it's kind of that thing. If you've got the money given to you, are you going to do well with it or not do well with it? And I think, you know, the answer individually, because you either do well with money now and you use it constructively or you don't. And so if you got $1 billion, is it really going to get any better? Or are you just going to end up in a gutter somewhere or fall off a boat, a yacht, you know, that you own? I don't know.
Crazy stuff. So I did title this, the SEC takes another bite at the apple.
What's that mean?
Yeah, there's a big announcement today. I can't believe they're risking it from what information that I had gathered. You know, at the Very Dow, we follow all of that stuff pretty closely. We've been following the SEC versus Ripple case. And there was a split decision. Judge Torres said, you know, this part of the situation where they were selling to investors was a security, but the token afterwards is not. It's not. Right. The oranges are not the security in the Howey test of the orchard, you know. Yeah. And now the SEC has decided to go back and take a second bite of the apple. They are appealing that decision, and I believe it puts them at risk of losing that first part of their decision that was in their favor, which Reggie did a video either this morning or yesterday morning about kind of calling them out and saying like cryptos are a technology. Yeah. They're a tool, and they're actually, I mean, he did not say this. I'm saying this. Yeah. So I'm putting my own words on this. You guys can go watch Reggie Middleton's video. He's a brilliant man, and I believe he's part of Healing Our Money moving forward. But it's, you know, protected by the Constitution and freedom of speech. So part of it is technology, but part of it is speech, and it is a tool. So maybe it shouldn't even be. Have the SEC shouldn't have even won that first part. Maybe we need either a different regulation,
I guess,
or under the SEC. I don't know. Uh,
See, that's the whole the dilemma right now. It's such a different thing. They don't know how to get their hands around it. Well, I think they do, but they've got other plans. But you're right in that you and I could just say, hey, we're just going to make a copy of Bitcoin, Litecoin, and we're just going to create our own blockchain and call it whatever we want, and happy hour chain or something. And hey, this is how many there are. We just copy the code, change the name, maybe did a few things here and there, and people either use it or don't use it. But ultimately, it's just words on frickin' paper. I mean, it's just something that you just put into the computer and do. Is there any intellectual property in that if we create something new like that is just a blockchain? I don't know. It falls under that. And see, this is the other thing too that I don't have answered. You look at all these blockchains and it falls under the open source MIT license. Now, what is that? I need somebody to hash that out. Speaking of hashing it out, after this, I'm going to jump on the Hash It Out show on Blind Dave's channel. But that's something that, what does that mean? And there's all these MIT connections, and it's just like, what's going on here? It's
and are they the same
stuff.
players with the Ethereum Foundation that now we found out because of the XRP army and them fundraising to support this litigation, and having John Deaton in there and all this, the amicus that were filed, all that kind of stuff. We did have FOIAs come out that showed that China was funding Vitalik and the creation of ETH and all of that. I mean,
wasn't his dad Russian? Doesn't he have a Russian background?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so and then you see the BRICS nations and how they're aligning, and it's basically Russia and China, the big boys. India apparently backed out. Mexico's backing out. That's the rumor, right?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that's the latest. I mean, I don't, I haven't delved into it, but I saw that, on Twitter, of course, some of these feeds. But I mean, if India and Mexico back out, that tells me you're seeing the war right out front. You're seeing that corporate empire leaning on those countries. You're seeing a lot more mobilization of troops too. They're trying to, hey, we're going to send some ships. Hey, we're going to send some troops here and there. And so it's like that last gasp of the American and Roman Empire, trying to withhold the fringes, the outlying countries in place. But yeah, I did hear that India and Mexico aren't going to participate in the BRICS. I mean, this is all coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh,
to where they're talking about the whole, what they're going to announce, as far as how they're going to link gold to these currencies and what's that all mean. Jim Rickards is out there, no, it's the end of the American empire, this kind of thing. I don't know. It's not going to go down without a fight. I know that. I mean, they're going to do everything they can to try and maintain that dollar supremacy at some level. Because there's just different factions fighting right now. You got that empire faction, and then you've got the sovereignty, patriotic, constitutional faction. I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's kind of coming out in the open right now. So all this matters. All these alliances, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Light Shadow thinks it won't happen. The SEC thing won't. The appeal won't come back for a long time, and
it'll just take forever.
I don't know that it'll take that long. It's still an action.
See, I think all of this, we had this conversation after the show on Tuesday, and it's just kind of like, is it really going to take till 2025 before crypto really launches? I think this is all part of it. They want to drag that out until they get peak human emotion back involved in the crypto market, and that'll happen probably second half of next year, leading into 2025. All the pain's going to be gone and washed out, and then all that retail is going to get excited again, and they'll roll this stuff out at just the right time to really just, crypto's awesome, and everything's in place, and all these SEC, XRP thing, Ripple things all taken care of. There's nothing, it's all settled, and I think they drag this out and stretch this out until those times when they know they can have that pinnacle of energy. To kind of, they just want to coalesce it. And so you see these games that they play right now. That's why things get dragged out, I think, because they know the crypto market is a human emotion thing. And if you bought back in 2021 and you bought at the all-time high, you're sitting here 99% down in some cases thinking, crypto sucks, man. This is ridiculous. I hate crypto. And then you'll get fired up and you say, well, I got some of those. It doubled, and you're still underwater. But it starts going up again, and then you get, okay, all right, I'm back. Hey, I'm back, baby. And you see it with the viewership. I mean, you do. You can kind of chart it with how many people are watching our channels, and they're just like exhausted.
Yeah, my Patreon down to nothing, and I'm thankful for those of you that are still there, that are loyal and
these
true.
are the diehards. These are the people who get it, and they're like,
these
I
are
care.
the people that I will remember that you're there, because I've already gone through and made a list and put it somewhere else.
Yeah, you're not sunshine. What is it? Summer soldiers and
Fair
sunshine patriots. You know, fair weather friends. You're not that. No, you're the ones that are in it for the long haul, and you understand the fundamentals and you understand where it's going. And I don't care. Just like the interview you did with Warrior Benny, he's like, I don't care. You know, I'm down, but I'm gonna keep buying it. It's on sale. I get it, and that's what you do.
But it is for the future, and that's where, like, so I sent a screenshot, which this tweet has been deleted. You can see right there, it has been deleted, but it was Gold Telegraph, and he says sovereign wealth funds in the Gulf are now hunting for hard assets. Look out. And so I think we are right there for the gold and silver. Jim Willie, there were rumors that he heard that some individual states were making deals with BRICS for, I believe it was for trade, not to join BRICS, but to be.
Well, I think Light Shadow, I missed it. I looked at the chat last time. Light Shadow popped in here. I think he actually dropped a comment that said, no, states are actually trying to align or become part of BRICS. I could be saying that wrong, but maybe throw that in there, Light Shadow, if you're in here. I don't know how all that works, but ultimately it comes down to, if they want to be, they want to be. They're sovereign. I mean, they can kind of do what they want in a way.
Okay. So okay. I feel like Joe Pesci. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah. Wait.
Let me get a pen real quick, so you know.
So there are some things that I believe can happen behind the scenes because it's constitutional, because there's powers in place, or it's military, or whatever. But I have a hard time with that point, because I think the people would have to be able to be knowledgeable of it, or educated about it, or be able to vote that decision or choice of joining.
I would think so, because, you know, the people voted to become 13 colonies said, okay, we will become part of this union, but we need some guaranteed rights. You know, let's add these to the Constitution, the first 10. I mean, we want to make sure they're enunciated clearly. I mean, they're inherent rights, but natural rights, but we want to make sure they're on the document so that there's no question. Okay.
So how do they apply? He says, yes, many states applied to BRICS. How do they apply to BRICS without consent of we the people?
Well, then it comes down to, ultimately it does come down to we the people. Ultimately it does. I mean, you can have a referendum, you can do whatever you want. But maybe, I don't understand BRICS enough and what it means. Maybe it's just an economic system. If that's what it is, okay, then you're not dealing in a government. You're not doing something that's necessarily outside of, you know, constitutionality. It's just an economic trade system. Okay, so what's wrong with a state saying, hey, I want to be a part of this trade system? As long as it doesn't violate constitutional rights of people, I mean, is that a problem? And I guess at the state level, you have to make sure it's not doing that, you know, and you're not getting sold out or something. But here's an uncommon thought. I don't think China wants to invade the United States. I don't think they, you know, I'm not a big China fan. I don't think they want to come, you know, occupy the United States like we've been told. I think they just want to trade and make money. I mean, they got their own problems over there. They got to feed their people. I think they just want trade, and that's it.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking, is that it wasn't that these states were not necessarily giving up their own currency and joining BRICS, but maybe making an arrangement to be able to trade individually as a nation state.
Right. It goes to what is BRICS?
Silver because 23 or 25 states have made gold and silver legal tender now. Mm-hmm. So if they have and Texas is working on their digitally backed or gold and silver digital currency that is state sovereign. Mm-hmm. If they made a decision, hey, we as Texas want to be able to trade within the BRICS ecosystem or whatever, like if it is more like a SWIFT system or
see, that whole system, that dinosaur system is a problem, SWIFT system, because it's like, you're not participating in our economic system of transferring funds, we're cutting you off. And that's what's been used in the Western world. Okay, so what if, okay, that all goes away and it's like, no, we'll just trade this way. We'll trade with gold and silver. We'll trade with crypto. We'll trade with whatever. And we just need goods and services. And we're just going to do it this way rather than using the dollar, because that thing's completely manipulated. And states say this is completely manipulated. Other countries say this is completely manipulated. We've got stuff to trade and sell, but we can't do it through this existing system because, I'm Russia. I want to sell my oil. Can't sell it. That's a problem.
Right. Well, and Light Shadow says, look at Africa purging the West puppet governments. They're really pushing off.
Yeah, they are.
Who has been, just stealing their children and robbing them.
Right. They rob them of their resources. They come in there and colonialize them and just basically beat them down and pay off the dictators. And there you are. But you did have some dictators arrested recently and taken into custody. It's like, okay, this is where the end game is. At some point, people are just done with it. And okay, we're done. We're just going to come pick you up.
But we also saw presidential candidate for Ecuador. I can't say his last name.
Yeah, he got taken out.
Supposedly, but there's some sketchy video on that. There's a video where supposedly he's shot, but he's already in the car. And then there's another video where he's on the ground.
Like Shinzo Abe. Remember him, the Japanese guy that, it's like, blood packet explodes and I don't know. Some of this stuff, who knows? Maybe it's all theater.
This stuff, who knows? Yeah. It's really hard to know.
It really is, because you don't have, you got video that's real sketchy, going sideways, this and that with the camera, and it's a different language. It's like, what's really happening? Who knows? Because just like Jamie Foxx, it comes out that, hey, that might have been a deep fake video, of him. They run it through this, analyzer, and it says, yeah, that's a deep fake. What's real anymore?
But everybody was like, oh no, it's just his head looks different.
So where's he at? He makes one video and that's it?
He was in that super creepy movie that made me cry with all that satanic stuff that I think was supposed to be, I think it was going to be the, oh gosh, what's the movie? The Jim Caviezel trafficking.
Sound of Freedom?
I think it was going to be the original. I think it was going to be what they were going to show the public, to show all the satanic stuff that's involved with the trafficking. But it was way too hard.
That'll come if you want to know. And it's already out there, all that stuff. It's just, how deep down that rabbit hole you can go.
It's a lot for general public to take in.
Right. It's hard for public. This was the movie itself was a pretty big thing, but yeah, it was a soft explanation of what's really going on, but it gets people thinking that, oh my gosh, that's really going on. How deep does that get? And then they think, well, shit.
And how close could that be? Because that's what the one
kids disappear all the time. Is it part of this? And they start putting connections together.
Could be in your neighborhood.
And then you realize there's an actual market for that among certain players who have always been in control, and then they leverage it, and that's why you become a movie star. That's why you become a rock star. That's what you sell your soul is really what it comes down to. So that contract with the devil, that Faustian bargain, is true. More true than you want to know.
Right.
Look into the red doors.
I know. My front door is kind of orangey red, and I told my husband, I was like, oh my God, now I want to paint my door.
Yeah, people driving by looking, it's like, oh, is there a party here?
Oh God.
What's the secret code?
Horrible. When you think about
the red shoes and the colors, all that matters. There's symbols everywhere, and they know the symbols, and then we don't think about it though. It's like, oh, somebody's just doing that. Yeah, somebody's wearing that. Oh, Balenciaga's cool.
No.
Start looking into it.
Yeah, look into it, open your mind. This lady is dropping truth bombs like crazy. We played the video on Friday. If you haven't seen our Friday show, go back and watch the happy hour from Friday, where she's talking to the BBC people and she explains everything. This one, real Donald Trump right here says, Dr. Jan Halpern Hayes is fantastic. Everyone has got to watch her interview on election fraud with the poor sap who got taken apart by her. Thank you, Dr. John Jr. for putting this masterpiece out. And I think, was that the original one? And then there was an article here that validates that that Trump is celebrating her, but she's talking about CIA Operation Mockingbird, the Smith-Mundt Act, Trump playing 5D chess, how
Mhm.
Trump signed presidential emergency documents, PEDS, and that's what they were looking for at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Order.
That panic to get that document at Mar-a-Lago and destroy it or whatever, get it into the possession.
Yeah.
And that is part of why we have this corrupt media. You could go to Wikipedia and find Operation Mockingbird, that the CIA has been in there forever. Then Obama repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which then permitted propaganda to be in broadcasting. It no longer said that it had to be credible. And so when he came out and said fake news, he warned us at the end of his speech that it is going to be very hard. The establishment, the media, the globalists are all going to come after. They're going to try to intimidate, but he needed to smoke them out. And guess what happened? The next day, Congress on the Democrat side wanted to create a law that he couldn't run. Then what happened was the Republicans came out and said they were going to investigate Hunter Biden. And Friday, the Department of Justice, AG, launched an investigation, and he put the most corrupt prosecutor who hates Trump on it. Donald Trump actually plays chess on a 5D level, and you never can anticipate what his next move is going to be. He said that his Mar-a-Lago was seized upon was that they really wanted to get the PEDS, the Presidential Emergency Act document, which is only what Trump knows and the military that he had to put in place, because before he left, he declared 2 national emergencies. And you know what? Biden hasn't reversed that. Biden has signed on to 3 of his executive orders to continue them going. So we have some very fascinating things that are going to come out.
I thought that was, and I think we have enough people now awake listening. I mean, this stuff's coming out on mainstream media. This is the stuff that, my kids are like, oh, so-and-so said you're crazy about this and that. And I'm like, that's fine.
Well,
they can apologize.
just stay a while and you'll find out. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. It's Trump doesn't look alarmed. He doesn't seem rattled. He doesn't seem upset about this whole thing. It's like a big game almost. Does he seem concerned? And they'll probably arrest him at some point or try to. And then what does that do? I mean, I don't know. You look at the polls. Not that they matter so much, but it's a good indicator. I mean, everybody who's on the Republican side, what a joke. I mean, there's just not. And and even DeSantis, who was in the normal election cycles, to be like, hey, this guy's got some good points. Hey, he sounds like he do great things. He's not even close. Nobody's going to vote for him. And it's all Trump. It's like Trump or bust. It's kind of where we're at right now. Mike Pence doing his gas station commercial. Did you see that thing?
Lord.
How embarrassing. It's like 1980s kind of, stuff. I mean, we're not dumb. He gets out of the truck and the gas lid's already open. I mean, he doesn't even open it. And then it's beeping the whole time because he didn't select a payment. He put the nozzle and is just hanging onto the nozzle. There's no gas coming out.
He probably hasn't pumped gas for himself in how many years?
And everybody thinks, right. Right. And the thing is with that, it's so staged that how could you even let that go out unless maybe this is his penance. Maybe he has to get up there and look like a fool and act like an idiot because he looks like an idiot doing this stuff.
LeBron
He really
James
does.
having to go out in his Barbie finest was part of his penance. I think that Bruce Jenner having to be dress up like a girl for all these years now was part of his penance.
It's like, hey, either that or you're getting taken out. Either that or you're getting tried for crimes of this or that.
Told people what information he had, and then they were like, okay. and you're going to dress like a girl the rest of
You're going to play a part,
your
is what
days.
you're going to do. You're going to play a part to wake people up. And the thing is, you've got this dichotomy now between Trump and Pence, to where Pence is, he tried to force me to do something that was wrong. He never said that before. Now he's saying it. And he's making such a mockery of himself that people are going to start looking at it and saying, okay, maybe he should have done it. Maybe he did do the wrong thing, because I really don't trust this guy. Maybe this guy's the bad guy now. I thought Trump was maybe the bad guy, but man, looking at Pence the way he's acting, maybe I should look at Trump again. Maybe he was right. Maybe what he was saying was right. And so Pence is just, completely going down in flames. What he's doing right now is, there's no way you can ever get the candidacy. The way he's acting, it's such a mockery at this point. It's really what it is. He's being mocked. And he's allowing it to happen. So
yeah, it's completely insane.
What's really happening?
Why
is he even in the race? He can't win. It's for a purpose. What's the purpose?
Yeah, I don't know why he's in the race. So that he can't be chosen for vice president? I don't know. I think it's just all this ridiculousness. I think this is more ridiculousness.
If you have an extra room or suite,
anybody in
home, please consider
Boston.
family. Safe housing and shelter is our most pressing need. Become a sponsor family. You can contact the Brazilian Worker Center for more information on how you can step up if you're willing to have an additional family be part of your family. If you're a local official, a college president, a business owner, or a faith leader with an available building or space in your community, please work with us to offer it as a shelter site. If you're a social service provider, please.
Now, isn't this in history? Wasn't there a time where about them living in your home or whatever, invaders living in your home?
Yeah, it's in the Constitution. You don't have to quarter the soldiers. You don't have to, put these people in your house. This was part of the problem. The British are like, hey, we're going to live in your house, but in the Revolution. Boy, we're just going to take over and live here. No, that's not what happens. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You let all these people in, and now you got a problem. The mayor of New York is, hey, we've got a crisis here. We got nowhere to put these people. We need to do something. We need more funding. Well, that's not going to fix it. You need more funding to build the frickin' wall and control the border. That's what you need to do. You can't have this. People come over here, can't speak the language, have, no ability to support themselves. They
can just go on SSI.
Right. Well, they're non-resident aliens, so they can probably benefit from the system. If we were all non-resident aliens, then we'd all benefit too. And so that gets back to that whole, thing, birth certificate thing, and if you're a citizen, you get screwed.
So when in the video on Friday, when she said that, Biden was the president of the bankrupt DC, does all that go away once the bankruptcy is over? Do all those
you would think so, because it's just like Enron. Okay, yeah, they might have assets, and those assets go somewhere for pennies on the dollar. So when that corporation goes bankrupt and you've got buildings, you got different things, somebody's going to pick those up for pennies on the dollar. So what's it really worth? So what's the United States corporation worth if it goes bankrupt? It's really a fiction anyway. So if it goes bankrupt, what difference does it make? And so that's why I think it's important that, okay, you better have some gold, you better have some resources, you better have real things that you can reconstitute yourself as a nation. And I think you're fine at that point. But you've got to have some sort of resources. And if those plains of gold came back, if we really do have, like as Vic says, that gold locked up in the Grand Canyon, and now Biden has, put another buffer around it to protect it or whatever. Maybe he's playing a game and we don't even know it. And he's, who knows what the whole scheme is. But ultimately it comes down to, if that whole thing collapses and that corporation goes bankrupt, where's that leave us? Well, does it really change my life? Yeah, in a way, but in another way, it's like, okay, now we're free and we've got all this stuff. Let's start drilling for oil. Let's start, innovating. Let's get the gold. We've got all the resources that we need here. Trump proved that when he was in office. We could become energy independent. We have everything we need here. maybe it's not such a bad thing at that point, because you get the bureaucracy out of it. And you go back to a constitutional form of government that's, controlled by the people and everybody's accountable. FBI is gone, CIA is gone, ATF's gone, IRS is gone. I mean, do you need that stuff anymore?
No.
Probably don't.
Trump did
shooting old men, they're saying they're going to take the president out. I mean, give me a break.
But meanwhile, Madonna was saying like a horrible
burn down the White House.
Burn down the White House.
Johnny Depp assassinating a president, and saying
and
stuff
Kathy
like
Lee
that.
Griffith holding that.
That bloody head. I mean, come on.
All of that was okay. Then this little old man with a cane makes some statements that he's unhappy with whatever. I don't know what the exact statements were. You guys should check
Does
it
it
out.
matter though? No, you've got all the full force of the FBI all against this one guy. Why do you need to kill him?
In the morning.
You get mad about George Floyd, and getting stomped down and, killed on the street. I mean, when there's forced to be, it's the same thing.
Home. Yeah. And then they killed him.
Yeah. I mean,
and
a 75-year-old guy, what threat is he?
Yeah. I don't know.
Then these guys aren't trained properly is what it comes down to. These officers aren't trained properly if they can't subdue a 75-year-old guy.
Or that was their mission. That was
that was the mission.
I don't know. It's time for a change for sure. So,
and yeah, it all could be a show. I don't know. The whole thing could be a show.
Yeah.
Just to show everybody that, get people riled up and actually, instead of being complacent, do something about it and say, enough, done, mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. That kind of thing.
That's right. All of those things. Make sure you guys watch Bix Weir today. Was it today or yesterday? I don't know what day it is. I don't know if Johnny's here or Westwood's here. Maybe Friday early. I don't even know.
Every day is Friday here at Westwood.
Every day is Friday. Is tomorrow 8/8? Is it?
No. Tomorrow's 8/11. Today's 8/10. It's 8/8 when we were on Tuesday.
Plus 2/3 is 5 plus. So I think Saturday's 8/8. When I was doing the math, because 8 and then 12 plus 2 plus 3 is 5.
Well, that'd be 16 then, and so that would reduce to 7.
No.
You keep adding it up.
Saturday.
Saturday's 2 days from now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
And there's 2 of us right now.
There's 2 of us. It's all the numbers.
Deuce.
Yeah. And there's 22 people watching right now. All the 2s. So thank you for watching. Give us a like.
Absolutely. Give that thumbs up. Check out Litecoin Lisa every day at 4 p.m. Central Time. It's not always Clint Westwood and Litecoin Lisa, even though this week seems to be Westwood week.
It is. It's Westwood week.
It's Westwood week.
Home week with Westwood. It's been fun. Lots of Westwood. Also go watch I had a great little smackdown with my buddy Joe Rotes on Den.social or Dragon Chain this morning. We got to talk about the SEC versus Ripple case, and that was fun.
SEC won't let me be.
Yeah, I'm ready for them to go take another bite at the apple. I think they're going to bite themselves in the.
They might get that poison apple.
Might get
not
that
like
poison
what they
apple.
get.
Snow White. You might get the Snow White treatment. I don't know.
Snow White.
I think we should all jump over to blind.
Are we going to go to
dates.
hash it out?
Go to
I
hash
think we
it
might
out.
be talking a little XRP. I got some questions. We might have an XRP expert on there.
There's
an
XRP expert over there, I believe.
I think I want to check that out. So yeah, Blind Dave's channel. Hash it out. We're going to go hash it out on Blind Dave's channel. I'll be on there talking with, I don't even know who's over there. I don't know who's over there. We're going to find out. So,
all right.
Good stuff.
We'll see you guys over at Hash
Great
It
seeing
Out.
you guys. I hope you're having a great day. I'm loving it. I went down the shore. Thought I'd made an appearance.
Down the shore. I love you, Johnny. All right.
Yes, we love Johnny.
Take care.
Thanks for having me on, Lisa. Love you. Love you all. Love this community.
We have a great community.
We'll see you on Blind Dave's channel.
But go watch Bix's channel too, and go see that $80 silver medal. I mean,
oh yeah.
AL, which I
I saw
tried to
that.
send him before one time, and he was like, "Nah, it says metal. It's not a coin." And then today he was like, "Oh, look,
I'm going to get this.
at 80."
There's only, I think,
$50
50,000
metal.
of them being
It's like,
minted. So it's
when
not a
I
lot.
sent that to you, you said it wasn't a big deal. Now you're saying it's a big deal. I think Bix just likes to give me a hard time.
Yeah.
But I wore his shirt today anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We love Biggs.
Follow the Freedom Road on the road to Ruta. So love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Happy Hour.
I'll be there.